point of clarification about something that I just said a minute ago. I said that the Apostle Paul did not feel any longer bound to the legalistic religion of the Jews, that he didn't feel like he was under the law. But that's maybe not as precise as I would like it to be. The truth is that he no longer felt as a Christian that he was bound to the ritualistic laws of the Jewish faith, that he was no longer caught up in the sacrificial system which he saw as having been fulfilled through Jesus the Messiah. But that didn't cause him to think that he had been released from the ethical dimensions of the law. Things like the Ten Commandments, for instance. He makes clear in a number of places that he felt absolutely that those things had a continuing reality and that they were mandatory for disciples of Jesus Christ. Now then, I want us to do some reviewing. At our last class period, we talked about some of the distinctives, some of the different distinctions that we make when studying world religion, and actually Paul's case highlights one of those. One area of important distinctions is beliefs versus behaviors. Beliefs versus behaviors. So the Apostle Paul felt that he was no longer under the law, but when he was with Jewish people, he behaved according to the demands of the ritual law. That was because he had a larger overarching purpose, which was to preach the good news of Jesus Christ. So, again, you see the distinction between the beliefs. Many people would have seen him following the Jewish laws and thinking, well, that's what it means to be a follower of Jesus. You have to do that. And in fact, there was a group in the New Testament called the Judaizers who went around behind the Apostle Paul and insisted in their teaching in the churches that the first thing the people had to do was to become Jewish and obey the Jewish law. Paul said, no, that's outrageous. That's not what freedom in Christ is all about. So there's a difference between beliefs and behaviors. And then the second distinction that we talked about was the difference between formal religion versus popular religion. The religion that you read about in a textbook, that perhaps you hear about in a class, is formal religion. But popular religion refers to how the faith is actually practiced out in the community, how it affects people in their homes and in their jobs, how it affects people as they go to school, how it affects their ritual behaviors, things like baby dedications or weddings or funerals. Now, I also told you that we were going to spend time learning 3 questions that we would ask of all these different groups. We're going to ask, who are they? What do they believe? And how shall we respond? Do you have those? Can you say them back to me? What's number 1? Who are they? Yes, that includes their history, and it includes popular ideas concerning the group. It can include a lot of things. It can include the behavioral manifestations of the group. And then number 2, what is it? What do they believe? Yes, that's right. And so we'll look at what they believe about authority, what they believe about God, and what they believe about salvation. And then the third question is, how shall we respond? In other words, what difference does this make to us, and what can we learn from them that we need to apply to our own lives? We also looked at a number of important vocabulary words. We looked at animism, which is this idea that everything is animated, everything is filled with some sort of spirit. We looked at polytheism, the belief in many gods. We looked at monotheism, belief in one God. We talked about agnosticism, which says there's not enough information. We don't know enough to make a determination about whether God exists or what God is like. And then we had the word atheism, which means no God. God doesn't exist. And finally, the very important word, syncretism. Syncretism. Syncretism is the idea of blending different systems together. So one of the religions of India is Sikhism. And Sikhism tries to blend together two very different religious systems, Islam and Hinduism. And it tries to take these, what I see as mutually exclusive systems, and take the best parts of each one. It's a later religion, and we'll talk about it more at a later date. But in Sikhism, the Sikh is someone who believes in one God, as opposed to Hinduism's literally thousands of gods. And at the same time, they believe in reincarnation. That's the Hindu side of things. And so it is a genuinely syncretistic world religion.